Well, this series has now just stepped up a notch because a board member of the VRC Managing Director of Godolphin in Australia, Vin Cox, is our very special guest. And Vin, welcome to the program, mate. Great to have you on board.
Oh, thank you, Richard. No, it's a pleasure to be here.
And what a great thrill it is to anyone to be selected or go through the process of being on this VRC board. Congratulations there. What a wonderful achievement.
Look, it wasn't something I was expecting or sort of had any particular ambitions to do, but being someone that lives out of the state, but it's a great honour. It's a great institution, and look, I've spent a lot of time at Flemington Racecourse and admiring the Melbourne Cup. Over the years, I've been overseas a lot while it's been on, doing a role in America. So to see it from that perspective and then come back in as a VRC board member, look, it's just a wonderful thing to be a part of.
It's such a unique place, isn't it, Flemington? It's hard to describe to those around the world. I mean, the Melbourne Cup Carnival is just like a race meeting like no other. You've travelled the world. How do you compare it with the others?
Oh, look, unashamedly, I'd say without doubt it's the best carnival in the world, bar none. The colour, the ceremony. I mean, Royal Ascot's comparable, but it really does engage a nation. And that's something that no other racing jurisdiction can brag about. And the race that does stop the nation is an iconic event. And if you look at it from an Australian perspective, there's two sporting events, or one being the Ashes and the other being the Melbourne Cup, where it gets cut through for the whole nation. It's a big responsibility of the VRC, and the fact that I'm part of the board now makes me a bit nervous. But I'm looking forward to. I've only been there a few months now, but I'm very much looking forward to serving on the VRC board.
Yeah, well, we'll let you get your feet under the desk there and worry about board issues a little later on. Let's peel it back a layer. On this program, we chat to so many of racing participants and say, where did you fall in love with racing? Why the thoroughbred and why racing for you?
Look, it goes right back to being a kid. I grew up in central west New South Wales in a town called Mudgee. My grandfather and father and uncles were very keen on racing and involved in racing administration in Mudgee, in the Mudgee Race Club and the picnic race clubs out there. And from a young age, you were dragged at that stage around to all the different race meetings around central west New South Wales. And off I went to boarding school, and you're looking for something to do on a Saturday afternoon, and I had some sort of familiarity with the form guide, and one thing led to another, and next thing you know, I'm following racing religiously, and ultimately became the school bookmaker, which turned out to be quite a profitable business. And the Melbourne Cup of 1984, when Black Knight won, was a skinner for me. I didn't lay a bet on Black Knight and got the lot, so. It was a good result. But yeah, it's look, it's been something that's been in my blood, and I've been very passionate about racing for a long time, and all my working life has been in racing. So it's something that you can't get away from. An employer of mine, Jerry Harvey, has been quoted as saying that it's an affliction only cured by death, and I think it's something pretty right. Once you've got the bug, you don't get rid of it.
So the investment, the very volatile investment portfolio of the punt will move from that to your various roles within racing, and some of these big sales houses are quite remarkable businesses, aren't they? I mean, you were at the forefront of Magic Millions for such a long time. You've touched on your Inglis background. We've seen that change a lot. We're looking at the moment of a lot of the European bloodlines coming in. Take us through that journey of how things have changed in that space in the last 20 years.
Oh, look, it's been quite amazing. We were, as you say, 20 years ago, and certainly longer, very much an insular industry. It was an industry that was quite domestic and quite unsophisticated, and there was definite penchant for precocious early 2-year-old racing. I'm not saying we've got away from that, but there's a less of a focus on it now than there was when I first came into the industry as an employee back in the late 80s. Now we've got the expansion of, it basically came along with the introduction of the shuttle stallion, and particularly a horse like Danehill, that had such a dramatic impact on the thoroughbred here in Australasia. I don't think there's any stallion ever over the course of the Australian breeding industry that's had that impact as he did. And with the introduction and the sophistication of our pedigrees came foreign investment as well. In the early days, it was obviously Coolmore through their interests in horses like Danehill to ultimately purchasing a property. And now we're seeing a lot of Chinese money coming in, a lot of American money coming in through organisations like Spendthrift in Victoria. It's been a fascinating ride. But we've got a product that is the envy of the world over. Yeah. It's well marketed. It's a young industry. It's very colourful. People are engaged across all sections of society here in Australia, and it has general cut through in the general media, whereas in most jurisdictions you don't have that. So we're very fortunate from that point of view. But it's the sophistication of our pedigree that really has carried that on, and with obviously events like the Melbourne Cup that attract international participants and significant participants to compete in the race, send our message loud and wide all around the globe.
And that's why, the industry here in Australia is so well regarded that we have a major global organisation like Godolphin and Darley investing in Australia so heavily. How did you become involved, and take us through that journey to make your way from Magic Millions to Godolphin?
Again, it wasn't something I had any ambition for. I got a phone call randomly one day and saying, we want to talk to you about the role at Godolphin as the managing director. And initially I didn't really want to take it on. But after a few meetings, they talked me into it. But to be part of, as you say, an international organisation, it's that has significant investment, not only here in Australia, but obviously in Europe, where the mothership is, and big investment in America and Japan as well. The bloodstock that we have is outstanding. The facilities we have are quite outstanding, whether it's here in Australia or around the world. And to be able to operate at that elite level is something that really did appeal to me. So it's a great honour to represent Godolphin here in Australia.
For all the great culture that you've developed at Godolphin in recent years under your tenure, and I'm hoping he's not watching this, I reckon your greatest success story is your trainer. You must be really proud of James Cummings.
Oh, what about the trajectory he's on? He's a young guy. He's only 31 years of age. I don't know what the exact statistic is now, but it's something like, I think he's trained 13 Group 1 winners. At the same stage, his grandfather had trained 2. And we know how successful Bart has been. But James is a young guy. He's very ambitious. He's very intelligent, highly articulate, thinks about the horse day and night. And leads a very good team, and I think that's the key, is that there is a great team behind him, and he fronts it very well and does a great job.
What was it like being part of the team? And you mentioned team, and you see that with Godolphin when one of your team members captured the great race, the Lexus Melbourne Cup. Take us through Cross Counter's win.
Oh, look, it was everyone's got a blue shirt in Godolphin, as we know, and whether it's Charlie Appleby, James Cummings, or Said bin Sarur, we represent Godolphin. And Sheikh Mohammed, as we know, has been trying to win the Melbourne Cup for well over 30 years, and I think that speaks volumes more about the race itself. That it's not a case of throwing as much money as you can at it; you're going to win it. It takes. You've really got to commit to it, and the fact that Godolphin and through Sheikh Mohammed hasn't walked away from it, wanting to, the passion to win it, and the focus and the dedication to win it over a long period of time, finally bore out back there in 2018 with Cross Counter and Charlie Appleby. And the first 2 people over to congratulate Charlie were James and Said, and I think that was a great moment. It spoke volumes about them as individuals, but it also told the story of Godolphin, and that everyone within our organisation is there to support each other. And it was a very, very good moment.
Talk about Sheikh Mohammed and his commitment to racing and also his commitment to the horse. Take us through how you at Godolphin and the whole team look after the thoroughbred after they finish racing.
Yeah, the Godolphin Lifetime Care program we're very committed to the horses we breed and own, and we want to ensure that they have a long and happy and fulfilled life. Obviously, we have a flag bearer program, which is our elite horses like Hartnell and It's Somewhat and Cross Counter will form part of that program. And there's talk that maybe we can bring him here to Australia to go to Living Legends out there at near the airport. But that's a separate story. So those flag bearers are the ones that we do put into a program, and we follow carefully and promote them. But it's not all about those elite horses. You know, there are plenty of horses that barely win a maiden, if they do win a maiden, but we do look after those as well. And we find homes for them, good homes, whether they end up as police horses or dressage horses or eventing horses or whatever. And so we gift the horses to these people. They're charged with the responsibility of looking after them. If for whatever reason they don't need the horse anymore or they don't want the horse anymore, we'll go and pick them up, bring them home and find a new home for them. But it's about, it's not only us, there's lots of people in this industry that are very much motivated to looking after the horse post-racing. Everyone in this industry has a love of the horse and a love of the thoroughbred. The guys that look after these horses, they love them and adore them. And, the passion and the desire to look after these horses is amazing. So, it's a wonderful part of the wonderful side of the industry that you see.
Yeah, and in these really challenging times comes opportunity. And I've noticed with great interest how your team has adapted to the new environment and doing different things that maybe in the future we might keep going with. I mean, you did a wonderful job with a virtual stallion parade, which I was lucky enough to be involved in, but we've seen various different things Godolphin have done to say, hey, we've got to do things differently, so let's take this opportunity to broaden the horizons.
Yeah, and obviously the stallion virtual parades, but I think the most intriguing thing has been the way that the horse auctions have been conducted. I mean, that's the thought of that all going online literally overnight, and then to be run as successfully as they have, again, tells you the sort of industry we're involved in here in Australia, the resilience of people, the people that are willing to adapt and just change their MO from a day-to-day perspective, and the whole thing keeps going on. It's a phenomenal thing, really, when you think about it. If you had have said in the beginning of January the Easter yearling sale is going to be conducted online, people would have looked at you like you had four heads. The fact that it took place was a very strong market, really, was quite outstanding. So there's going to be a lot of things that'll change forever. But I can't wait till we get back to normality, attending horse sales, going to the races. At the end of the day, it's a social industry, and it's a touchy-feely industry. We like being in each other's company. We enjoy and revere each other's success, and so the sooner we can get back to the better.